With the release of Fast X about 2 months ago, we now have 11 Fast and Furious films. And today, I would like to stop and take the time to rank all 11 of them. Please know that everything that I will say in this video is just my very own opinion. My name is SW Nation, and you are free to comment down below your very own ranking of all 11 Fast and Furious films, ranked from the worst to the best, just like me. Or you could just do your favorite. Please don't forget to check out that Twitter that's going to pop up on your screen right now. And with that being said, guys, like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get right into our ranking. Kicking off our list at number 11 for me is Tokyo Drift, otherwise regarded as the black sheep of the franchise. Yes, it has bland characters and awkward acting and an uninteresting plot, but it makes all of that up for actually being about racing in Tokyo. And that's what you came for this movie to see. You wanted to see them drift in Tokyo, wanting to see Shane learn how to drift in Tokyo. All of that worked for me. Han is very cool. I love the introduction of this character. Just this guy who has connections to the underground street world, but also got out of the game. Like, I thought all of that was pretty good. Again, it's not one of the most rewatchable Fast and Furious films for me, but I gotta say, it does deliver on its promise. Drifting in Tokyo. Kicking off our top 10 list for me is Fast and Furious 9, or F9. While it is pretty entertaining at times, this was the first, one of the first movies I saw back in the theater. I saw Furious 7. My first time back to the theater since the pandemic was Furious 7. And then 2 weeks after that, I went to go see F9 when it, dropped in theaters. And while it's just pretty entertaining at times, I had fun with it when I first watched it, but I really had no urge to rewatch it at all. I mean, John Cena's alright in it. It's kind of weird how they try to rope in Dom's family life in there, where, he's all about family in all of these movies, but they never once, not even Mia, ever once mentioned that she had a brother. And they know that he's alive. They know that he's still out there, and they never once tried to contact him at all. Look, at points, it comes a time where you just have to wear your flaws on your sleeves, and this movie does that to effect. Even to the part where their whole movie is just them being self-aware that all of this is dumb. Literally, we have Tyrese getting shot at in the chest, but not one bullet gets hit in his head. They all shoot at the bulletproof vest, and he's just shooting a gun aimlessly, and he kills everyone. But he doesn't get shot in the head, not once. He has no scratches to show for it, which he says inside of the film. I think once your franchise gets to that point, that's when you know you've ran out of ideas. And so this movie felt very small for me. It felt very uninspired. And while I had fun with it, in the theater, I do feel as though they did take it a little bit too far with going to space. 9 is Too Fast, Too Furious, an enjoyable movie for me. It's an early 2000s film, and I love early 2000s movies. My favorite movie of all time is Scooby-Doo 2002, because it just has that early 2000s film. I love early 2000s music. I love early 2000s films. And also, it has a fun backdrop of Miami. Tyrese is a great addition. He was a serious character that had serious dialogue, but was also kind of like the comedic relief. He was able to play that. He could crack a joke or two. That's what I really liked about Roman's character when they first brought him into the films, that he wasn't just the comedic relief all the time. He was more of like, I have a connection with this guy. We have a past. Yes, I can crack a joke or two, but I still have a dark past. And I think Tyrese, even though he's not the best thespian in this movie, he plays that part very well. It's just like the first film, just more cheesy, more jovial, and it gets confusing at times. Like, what is even the plot? To me, this movie plays like a GTA mission. Literally, I've played a mission in GTA that is literally this movie. Just look at this scene here. It plays like a GTA cutscene. Don't believe me? If you don't believe me, just watch it.
Let your man go, huh?
Drop it, I don't want to talk about it.
Drop it, hell. I want to hear about this, homie.
I said forget about it, cuz.
8 is Fast and Furious. Familiar characters can't save this reboot from feeling kind of weird. It's a nice return to form, with the OG cast continuing the story after having Too Fast, Too Furious and Tokyo Drift inside of the middle. And this is where the franchise started getting cool. cool. Started ramping up his engines to be more than just street racing. It had some drama in the mix and just some very cool car action. But to me, this is the movie that kind of feels a little bit odd inside of the franchise. Yes, it continues the story with the original cast, but it's one of those movies where the parts are better than the entire model. Dom also obtains omnipotence in this movie, which is his superpowers. So this is the start of a whole new chapter of the Fast and Furious franchise. 7 is Fate of the Furious. This film shines because of Hobbs and Shaw, in my opinion. I saw this movie in theaters. I had a blast with it. I laughed my ass off. Action set pieces are large. I mean, we're in New York City. We're like in totally different places. The set pieces are incredible inside of this film, and it felt like they just wanted to up it because of the last movie. So we're in New York, we're in Germany, we're in Berlin, we're also in the Arctic, Antarctica, and Dom as a super spy. Look, I don't care, say what you will, I loved it. Charlize Theron is a very intimidating force. She has this kind of manipulative vibe going on, but also very sinister. She's very deadpan and calm, but calculating. And I like that about a villain. I like that about a villain like this because she's not over the top. She's one of those villains where she can take you out from the inside. So some big action set pieces. Hobbs and Shaw was pretty cool, but at this point, I gotta say it, the franchise did feel like it was running on fumes. 6 is Hobbs and Shaw. We have some great chemistry between the leads, and this film is everything that you want from the franchise without focusing on the cars aspect. In this movie, we're more into the spy world, the more government world, and I thought all of that worked. I mean, if you want to do a Hobbs and Shaw film, okay, this is how you do it. And it expands the franchise. It's huge in absurdity and definitely knows what type of film it is. And when you're going into watching this movie, you definitely know what type of film you're going to get. So it's fun. It's fresh to the franchise. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Jason Statham are both great in it. But at some point, I just got bored with the whole frenemies thing that Hobbs and Shaw had going on. The rivalry worked great in Fate of the Furious and Furious 7, and then you also bleed it into this film at the beginning. It works, and then throughout the movie they just keep going on and on and on like they're children, and these are grown men that's most likely in their 40s. Kick it off my top 5 list for me has got to go to Fast X, the newest addition to the Fast and Furious franchise. It feels like this film is trying to dial it back from the rest of the franchise's ridiculousness. We're not going to space. We're not taking out submarines with torpedoes. So with all of its problems, it's safe to say that this is the best Fast and Furious movie since 7, in my opinion. I thought it was the best film since 7. It has stakes. It goes back to one of the best Fast films, which is Fast 5. And they were even able to make the villain great. And I think this is probably the best villain inside of the entire Fast franchise. Whereas Charlize Theron's Cypher, she could take you out by manipulating you. Jason Momoa as Dante just wants to have fun and be a menace to society. Literally, when I got out of this movie, I described it as Dom gets everything stripped away from him, and it's the Infinity War of the Fast and Furious franchise. Not as great as Infinity War. It doesn't have the greatest cliffhanger as Infinity War, but literally, all hands are on deck. It does end with the cliffhanger, which I thought was great. Literally, this entire movie is Jason Momoa's Dante fucking with the team, and I had a blast with all of it. Best Fast and Furious since 7. And number 4 is The Fast and the Furious, the original. Basically a Point Break ripoff, which I can't confirm nor deny because never seen Point Break. So I don't know if this is a Point Break ripoff, but it excels in its cast and characters and practical stunt work. So to me, this film holds a special place in my heart because it's the start of all of this. It's the start of the cast and the practical stunt work and just all of it. Introducing us to Paul Walker's Brian, Vin Diesel's Dominic Toretto. I think all of it works. And really, the antagonist of the film isn't the one that I always think about. I think of Dom as the antagonist of the movie, and I think that tension between the two characters worked for me on so many levels, from where they started off as cop, criminal, into brothers. To me, this movie still has the best races. It serves as a nice origin story to lead into the growth up into 7. Kick it off my top 3 list for me has got to go to Fast and Furious 6. At this time, the franchise was just firing on all cylinders, and they found a way to continue the story from 5 by introducing the fact that Letty is now alive and Hobbs' mission to get them exonerated from their crimes of 4 and 5 by taking down a terrorist. I think that works. While they introduce most of the ridiculous action here, some of it kind of feels real. Taking out a plane, not as much. The Superman catch, not as much. But every single scene keeps upping the action. We have cars that can flip over other cars. Then we move into a tank. Now we're taking out an airplane. It's fun, funny, and the team chemistry is hot. I love it. I love this team, and I wish that we could still have this team, because Furious 6 just had the best team in my opinion. But while I'm praising this movie a lot, I always think to myself, did I actually watch it? Have I actually watched this movie? Because the only movies that I really remember are the ones that are the other ones on this list. My runner-up at number 2 is Fast and Furious 7, or Furious 7. One of the first films I saw again in the theater after the pandemic. Well, not after, we were still in the pandemic, but you know, since 2019's Frozen 2, that was the first film that I've seen in the theater. Again, by introducing the revenge plot, it creates an actions have consequences story, which I love. I love action have consequences stories. That's why I kind of really enjoyed the villain plot of Fast X. Deckard Shaw is a force to be reckoned with. This is truly where they became over the top, and that provides some nice blockbuster entertainment. Yeah, they were kind of leading into blockbusters with 6, but I do feel as though 7 is when they truly became blockbusters, because I mean, this movie did make $1 billion anyway. So they were able to take all of the positives from 6, but also up the ridiculousness and provide some nice blockbuster entertainment, while also serving as an emotional tribute to Paul Walker. Wrap this whole film up in a bow. I think you got one of the best summer blockbusters of 2015. But coming in at my number 1 is Fast 5. This is the film that completely changed the franchise, serving not only as a perfect conclusion, bridging all 4 films together, you know, a little bit in Tokyo Drift because of Han, and Fast and Furious, it's a sequel to that, but also Too Fast, Too Furious with Roman and Tej, and then the first Fast and Furious film, bridging all of those films together. But it also serves as the best story of all the movies. It takes us back to the root of the franchise, which is essentially about heists. It was really about heists and ridiculous heists with cars. The interactions are fun. It's great seeing these characters come together. It's almost like the first Avengers. We have a backdrop of Brazil, so it provides some nice tension for the action scenes. And we also have The Rock coming into the mix, serving as a nice big guy that Vin Diesel can throw down with. And in fact, I think ever since The Rock joined these movies, the franchise got a whole lot better. All of these elements work for me to create an explosive finale to the street racing saga of the franchise. Alright guys, that is it for the ranking. Please know that everything that I did say in this video was just my very own opinion. My list was certainly not the right list. It was just my list. You're free to comment down below your very own ranking of all 11 Fast and Furious films, ranked from the worst to the best, just like me, or you could just do your favorite. Please don't forget to check out that Twitter that's going to pop up on your screen right now. And with that being said, guys, like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all next time. Peace.